An explosion rocks Dubai airport, a black cloud rises, and a Boeing 777 is engulfed in flames. Passengers run along the runway, some carrying suitcases, others searching for their children. What exactly happened? Was it a mechanical failure? Human error? What seemed like a routine landing was seconds away from turning into a total tragedy. This is the true story of Emirates Flight 521. Are you ready? Let's get started. August 3rd, 2016. Emirates Flight 521 takes off from southern India bound for Dubai. On board, 282 passengers of 20 nationalities and 18 fully trained crew members. The aircraft, a Boeing 777-300, over 12 years in service, maintained to the last detail. In the cockpit, 2 experienced pilots, a captain with over 7,000 flight hours, and an Australian first officer with 3,000 hours. Everything seemed normal until they approached Dubai. As Flight 521 approached Dubai, the atmosphere was stifling. The thermometer read 48 degrees Celsius. Extreme heat, invisible but dangerous. Why? Because hot air is less dense. And when the air is less dense, the engines produce less thrust, the wings generate less lift, and the runways simply become shorter. At that moment, the Boeing 777 needed more runway, more power, and more margin for error. But it wouldn't have it. From the tower, a new risk was already being warned: wind shear. Unpredictable gusts of air can push or slow an aircraft at the most critical moment, landing. Despite everything, the flight was cleared to land on runway 12, and so began a chain of seconds that would change the history of Emirates Flight 521 forever. 2:37 p.m. Dubai time, Emirates Flight 521 lines up with runway 12. The plane is approaching at over 300 kilometers per hour. It touches down, but not at the right spot. Instead of touching down at the start of the runway, it touches down 1,100 meters later, almost halfway down. This is what's known as a long landing. It means the plane has used up part of the runway without touching the ground. The problem? Now there's much less room to brake, and the plane isn't decelerating enough. Then an alert goes off in the cockpit: long landing. The captain reacts immediately and decides what in aviation is called a go-around, an emergency procedure where the landing is aborted to go around and try again. But here's the big problem. For the go-around to work properly, the engines must automatically increase power. However, what few people know is that if a plane has already touched down, even if it's just the rear wheels, the automatic go-around system is deactivated. This is what happened on Flight 521. The rear gear had touched the runway. The engines were still idling. The plane tried to get back into the air, but without power. The pilots raised the nose. They retracted the landing gear, but the engines didn't respond as they expected. For an instant, the Boeing 777 rose barely 25 meters, the height of a 7-story building. 12 seconds later, without speed, without lift, the plane plummeted onto the runway. The rear end hit first. The landing gear was partially retracted. The impact was brutal. The fuselage twisted, the right wing broke, and the fire had already started. The plane skids, it twists, the fuselage fills with smoke. But the crew acts quickly. In less than 90 seconds, all passengers are evacuated. All except 2, the captain and a flight attendant checking the plane for the last time. But it wasn't all heroic. Several passengers halted the evacuation to retrieve suitcases, an action that could have cost lives and generated a wave of worldwide criticism. 9 minutes later, a second explosion. The fire reached the central fuel tank. The aircraft exploded. A firefighter, Jassim al-Balushi, 27, died while trying to extinguish the fire. He was the only fatality in the accident, a hero who came in just as everyone else was leaving. The official investigation concluded it wasn't a technical failure. It was a combination of poor judgment and overconfidence in the automation. The pilots didn't notice that the auto throttle didn't activate, and when they did, it was too late. They were trained in simulators, yes, but never for a situation like this, with the plane already touching down. A mistake of seconds, with consequences that lasted for years. Emirates Flight 521 became a global case study, not because of the destruction, but because of what was prevented. 300 people survived. One man lost his life to save others, and the lesson remains. In aviation, a split second changes everything. Fly safe, stay curious.